Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm your host, Cody Cota. We've got a special guest today, Clay Speer with Brown Dog Realty in the Grapevine Gallery. How you doing, Clay?
Good, good, Cody. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming on. So, how did you get into the business,
Which one?
the real estate business? And then I
Uh,
definitely want to bit about the art gallery stuff.
yeah, well, they're kind of related. It doesn't sound like art and real estate should be related, but I was a teacher and coach for 15, 20 years. And, you and I have talked a lot about coaching. And as I got back into town from our latest real estate investment in RV park and campground, I'm going to scan in and send you this letter, Cody. It's really neat. One of my students wrote it about me, and not to lose my man card, but every time I read it, I tear up a little bit because he wrote his senior paper about me, and it was really kind of a special deal. So great kid, great family, very thankful that they gave me that, one of my most treasured coaching gifts. Kind of like Michael Jordan cruises around with his North Carolina shorts all through his NBA career. Notes that players wrote me, I keep it in my coaching bag that I use as a briefcase. So I'm not Michael Jordan, but I carry that around. So, I inherited the Grapevine Gallery from my two uncles, Walt and Dan. They took my wife and I under their wing and taught us the business. And they both passed away about 15, 20 years before I thought they would. So I decided to jump off the bridge and go into business for myself and run the gallery, which was great. But when you're a high intensity coach and you're used to working 80 hours a week, it's great to be around a bunch of quiet sculpture and paintings, but the problem is you start thinking too much and you get a little restless. And when that happened, I started saying, what are people wanting to hang in their houses? What kind of art? So I got on the Z word, which a lot of agents don't like, Zillow, and I started creeping around on people's houses. And then that led me to become a real estate investor. And I started investing in real estate saying, hey, as art sales are a little slow here and there, I can invest in real estate and get some passive income. Well, it felt like I was doing most of the work. I had some agents that helped me out to get my first few investment properties, but I really felt like I did most of the work. And I thought, well, why are they getting a commission and why not me? Which led me to get a real estate license. And then I didn't, I know you and I have some different backgrounds. You're in one of the huge brokerages. I was with some individuals, and it was kind of the sink or swim. They chunked me off the boat, so to speak, and said, hey, you run your own business. You'll be fine. Figure it out. And that's how I learned how to practice real estate. And so then I started sitting around going, well, they're a broker and they passed a fancy test. I'm a smart guy, so to speak. Why can't I pass the test? And so I went out and got my broker's license. And now my son, Carson, is my only agent right now. So I'm in Jerry Maguire mode because we opened up literally in February, right before all the COVID stuff hit. So we're a small brokerage, but I'm excited to get rolling and get started with Broker League and be a part of that with Brown Dog Realty. And so we stay plenty busy. Definitely have work for other agents should they ever want to come on. But we're as busy as we want to be.
I love that question you asked yourself. Why not me? That's
Mm-hmm.
how it all led to that. So how many combined years in total in the business would you say you have?
I started snooping around kind of in the fall and winter of 2013, and then 2014 I just said why not and jumped in there and got after it. So about 7 years total as an investor, agent, and broker in real estate, and I've really enjoyed it. I can't imagine anything else. When we were out at our campground Cloudcroft, they found out I was a coach, and they knew my daughter was really good at golf, and they said, hey, do you want to come out here and head up our golf program? What can you teach? And I said, and I hope everyone who's just starting off in the business really hears what I'm about to say. I said, well, and I'm trying not to be disrespectful toward teaching because, my parents were both career teachers and I taught for, over 15 years. And I just said, why would I sit in a classroom when I can close one real estate deal and make 2 or 3 months of your salary? And she just looked at me and kind of like, why would you say that? And I'm like, well, sorry, I'm too old and I just speak the truth. And if I'm a little too blunt for you, you can get over it and put on your big girl pants. But, in our line of work, the sky's the limit and you can make as much money as you want as a realtor or a broker. It's just, You can get a big check and sit back for a month or two and say, oh, I'm fine. Or you can say, hey, well, what's next? Let's go after the next project. Let's close the next deal. And that's where I think success in this business really, really is paramount, for you to just stay driven.
Yeah, that's true. So, how did you transition? Because I know you touched on it a little bit, but maybe kind of go into a little bit more detail for somebody that may be an agent right now and they're thinking about that, or wanting to make that transition. Kind of walk us a little bit, kind of how it went for you.
Well, as everybody knows, you got to put in your 2 years serving under someone. And of course, I'm not an expert about all the finite details. I took a personality profile a couple of years ago, and they said I was a charger. And I'm great at charging for it and going for it, and kind of delegate the little minute details to other people. I'm like, 2 years, 3 years. It's kind of like Mr. Mom, 220, 221. So once you've hit that mark and you've closed the number of deals you're supposed to close, and everyone's different and everyone's unique, and so it's really what works for you. But if you're thinking of becoming a broker, what I would say is study that test, because when I passed that test the first time I took it, I actually really started staring at the computer screen like, does that say pass? Because I thought, I'll fail it the first time, see how it goes. And, then study and come back and pass it the second or third time. And so I kind of nodded my head and politely walked out and got my results, because I was like, hey, I got to get out of here before they change their mind. I mean, that was the hardest test I ever took. I'm not going to lie. And so, I will say that, you know, study, because, it's a booger, but once it's done, yes, there's more responsibility on your plate, but I like the freedom of being a broker. I know some brokers are probably laughing, going, this guy has no idea what he's talking about. But when I say freedom, it's the freedom to run your own business, to put your thumbprint on it, your personality. If you want 100 agents, fine, go recruit 100 agents. If you want to Jerry Maguire it and have a business with your son or daughter, my daughter's already, Corinne, she's, fantastic little golfer, and she's talking about getting her license when she turns 18 as well, like her brother did in high school. And so it's an opportunity to help your family out. It's an opportunity to run the business the way you want to run it. But the path, I had one broker that actually officed with me. And so we worked out a deal, and then he was semi-retiring and moving out of the state. And so another gentleman down here in Norman, closer to my home, I was very upfront with him. I just said, look, I'm about 6 months away from being able to sit for my broker's exam, and I'm going to. So when I'm able to run my own business, I don't want you to get your feelings hurt when I leave you. And he said, oh, no, don't worry about it. And, he gave me the freedom to run my business as an agent like I wanted to. Now, agents can very much run their agency as if it's their own business, and they don't have to have the responsibilities of that of a broker. I don't know, maybe it's my personality. I don't like to ask permission. I like to do what I want to do and when I want to do it. And so that's why it works for me. But that's why I said it's your business. It's unique to you as a person. And that's really my take on it.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. I don't know why your expectations were so low when it came to that test. Just knowing you personally, play, just how intelligent you are. I mean, come on, man, you're shooing for just about any exam you can sit and study for. So, let me ask you this: what were maybe some early struggles making that transition into the brokerage position, and what were maybe some of the early wins that you maybe took from being an agent or from other businesses that you ran that were parallel, that kind of were easy to transfer?
You know, in a way, I've been in sales really since high school. And so, most people don't see coaching as sales, but, when you have a 5'8", 180-pound running back, and you're like, hey, there's 5 guys in front of you that weigh 300 pounds. And on the other side of the line, there's about 4 guys who weigh 300 pounds. So that's a lot of weight with some 200-pound linebackers to say, oh, no, run through that hole, it'll be fine. And so, when you're trying to sell someone that they're going to be fine when there's a couple thousand pounds between them and safety, not getting drilled, you're selling the confidence there. And then, with the art gallery, I will tell this to a lot of agents. When you have to sell fine art, you're selling to people with advanced degrees, and you're trying to talk to them about their disposable income and limited wall space. So they're very intelligent, and being able to sell people like that and work with them and maintain the fact that, sometimes in our business we have repeat customers and sometimes it's a one and done. But, with art, you've got to sell in a way that you want them to come back to you. I mean, there's other galleries out there, there's other artists out there, and it's like, why am I going back to the Grapevine Gallery? So, you can't use any of the cheesy sales tactics and things like that. I mean, you need to be genuine, honest, straightforward, and you also need to have that personal relationship. I believe Matthew McConaughey, you and I talked the first time we tried to record this, that he talked about, if you don't understand relationships, you really don't understand business. And so maintaining those relationships with your clients, and it really doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's running through the 5-hole on a counterplay, or whether it's, acquiring a $20,000 painting because it just looks so good next to that $5,000 painting over there and it just makes your collection, or whether you're telling someone, you look at these 1,500 square foot houses. From watching you shop as a buyer, every time you look at one of these, it's in the price point you like, but every time you really geek out on a house, it's when you hit 1,800 square feet. So I would say when you're really working with people on buying a home, don't be thinking of your commission check, would be my advice to agents. I would say you need to make sure people are happy with what they're paying their mortgage every month on, and that they are excited about where they live. And that's what's helped me. And those are my early wins that, I'm working with some clients right now, and I've probably shown them 40 houses. They'll see something on the Z Word. They get all excited. Hey, can we look at this? And I'm, as fast as houses are selling in this bubble right now, we go look at it and they're like, the bedrooms are too cramped. And I'm going, well, because it's under 1,600 square feet and you got two, adult-ish kids late in high school, and it's just too small for you all. And so they're not happy with that. Now, some people want to downsize, and there's all those scenarios. But I think if you make it your goal and your focus to really listen to your clients and really listen to what they like and they don't like when they walk in a house. I know it can be a challenge as a salesperson to watch someone come in and go, well, I don't like this paint, or I don't like that tile. And we're all like, oh my God, go to Home Depot, get a couple buckets of paint and fix it, But I think you really need to listen to the people you're working with and make sure that they get the exact home they want for their family. That's what's important.
That's really good. There's a lot with what you just said, the relationships, listening is kind of how you do business. That's really good stuff. So what would you say is kind of your management style, your philosophy when it comes to leading your brokerage?
Oh, I'm a big believer in, I read a lot. And so, I saw something that said that most CEOs read 1 to 3 books a week. I'm a big fan of Blinkist. I know that you could slam me and say, well, Clay, that's glorified today's Cliff Notes. Well, good. We're all busy. We're all taxed in time. And, what I like about that app is I really don't care what the grapes smelled like in the morning sun with the dew just starting to, rise off the grass. Hey, save me all that. Get to the point.
What's the name of this app?
Pardon me, it's called Blinkist. When I first heard it, I thought it was Blink List, but it's Blink IST. And there's thousands of books on there. You can usually knock them out in 15 or 20 minutes. But, I saw that, and that's what drew me to it. But I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a good CEO and I'm going to be well-read and I'm going to act like I'm moderately intelligent, I need to be reading too. And we can get all into myelin and, how that helps your brain and brain function and all that. And that's a whole nother show. But from that, and I'm a big believer in Sun Tzu. I'm sure everybody's read their Art of War, but I'm a big believer in, if the directions are clear and they're not followed, then the soldiers to be held accountable. But if the directions are not clear and they're not followed, the generals to be held accountable. Now, he's a little more direct than that, but I believe, I'm not a micromanager. I do feel like with an agent, it is their own business, and any agent that was, to work with me at Brown Dog Realty, this is your own business. And I'm not going to hound people about, oh, you didn't hit this quota or that quota. I mean, it's pretty simple. Do you want to eat? Do you want to pay your bills? Well, you need to get off your keister and get out there and go work and close some deals. So I believe people should be adults and need to go out and be adults. And if you're sitting around whining Chuck Liddell did an interview talking about how he would never tap out because he's like, if you can think enough to do this to tap out, you can think how to get out of it. So it's how do you want to spend your mental energy? Do you want to sit around and whine and complain because things got a little tough, or do you want to get off your rear end and go out and hit your goals? And so, yeah, I don't do the poor me, I don't do the, poor baby, let's talk about it. I'm the wrong guy, that's just not how I'm wired. But, people are like, oh, I'm not getting many deals done. Well, are you cold calling? Are you knocking on doors? Are you sending flyers? Are you out socializing? And there's opportunity everywhere if you look for it, whether you like to golf or whether you like to quilt or whatever you're into. If you're a good person and you truly care about your clients and you build your relationships, you'd be amazed at how many referrals you'll get.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. But what franchise route? This is kind of an interesting question. Did you go the franchise route? If so, why or why not?
I didn't do it. And again, that's that whole ask for permission, or handle your business like you want. I mean, I honestly don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. But I'm more of an entrepreneur, and I think that there's a big difference between an entrepreneur and a wantrepreneur. There's a lot of people who want to own their own business until they have to walk a mile in those shoes, and it's not easy. I love the reward. To me, it's really not so much about the money. It's about hitting goals, because you hit your goals and you hit your marks and you say, I want to make $50,000 a year. I want to make $100,000 or $500,000 a year. Well, how are you going to do it? And I'm a big believer in, regardless of what your goal is, number one, be realistic. But then number two, it is so much easier to look at that finish line and say, okay, how am I going to work my way back to where I am right now? And I feel like if people would do that, they could very easily hit their goals. And, it's not always easy, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, look at the stock market. Does the line just shoot straight up like this, or does it have some jags in there? You're going to take 3 or 4 steps forward. You're going to take a step back. That's why a lot of successful people talk about fail forward. You're going to have mistakes. You're just going to be bumps in the road. Don't let it get you down. Learn from it, and move on.
Now, the stock market chart, that's a really good analogy. I've never heard it explained that way, but that's true. It's your business, it's your company. And like you said, it's not always just going to be that straight line. You're going to have those ups and downs. So good advice there. So what do you think, in your opinion, Clay, it takes to be a successful broker?
Like a lot of goals, I wouldn't get a broker's license and say, oh, I've made it. Well, what did you make? You passed the test. You put in your time, and that's great. I would say for anyone who's trying to become a broker, don't look at it as a finish line. Look at it as a beginning. It's a new chapter in your life. There was a chapter in your life when you said, well, I want to become an agent. And how many times in our business do you hear people say, oh, I'm thinking about working on my real estate license? And it's like, well, you can think in one hand, or you can go, in the other hand, and tell me which one fills up first. It's, what chapter in your life are you going to live, and how are you going to live it? So, there's a chapter in your life when you're an agent, and some chapters are longer than others. And could be 2-3 years, could be 10 years. If you're in a great situation, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. All those cliches, the grass is greener, yada, yada, yada. But, once you become a broker, that's great. And that's what's great about Broker League. Cody, tip of the hat. And anyone who hadn't really sat back and thought about all the resources Cody's put together with Broker League, you really need to appreciate that. Like you've explained, it's a Ferrari. If you don't learn all the bells and whistles and how to drive it, yeah, it looks really cool in your driveway. But if you don't know how to drive it, what good's it doing you? So, and I'm even at fault. And look at your career, look at what your goals are. If it's not to be in a position to be a broker, and that's not just because your broker has some do better talks with you and you may get your little feelings hurt, get over it, and realize, this is the business we've chosen, to quote Michael Corleone. And if you're an agent and you're doing well and life's good and you're happy to do it, then live your life and don't worry about it. But if you're wanting to be a broker and you're wanting to own your own business and run your own business, um, I would say before you start studying for the test, put together a business plan, a SWOT analysis. How are you going to live this life? How are you going to have success? Set your goals and really have a realistic plan and a game plan in place, and then go for it. Just it feels great to just go for it, and go be the best you can be.
There you go, man. You put Michael Corleone here on the show. That's awesome.
It's an
Uh,
Italian thing. My
what?
mother's maiden name ended in a vowel. You know what I mean?
So no, that's good. So what would you say is kind of like your favorite aspects of the job description of being a broker? And then maybe what are some of the ones that you wish kind of didn't come with the job description?
I'd say the favorite stuff, and again, it's not because of the check, but you know, when you got to check in your, I've got my coach's bag. Some people do folders, some people have a briefcase. Whatever your style, be the best you can be. But when you have that in there, and there's always that, I call it hell week, the week before closing, just because 72 hours the week before, it just something every 15 minutes is going to about drive you crazy. It's like a wedding or anything else. It's just like, oh my God, now this. But when everyone's closed and the goal's been accomplished, and you can see the smile on someone's face that they're moving into their new home, you know, or they've just acquired an investment property. Brown Dog's Realty's slogan is we're the investment man's best friend, like any dog. And so knowing that and it could be a single family home, it could be an investment property that's a single family home, or a building, or whatever. Someone's wanted to achieve this goal, and they've wanted this new reality in their life, and you help them achieve that goal, and you see the smile on their face. Honestly, that's my favorite part, is they've got their keys, their new keys and garage door opener or whatever came with the deal, and they're walking out, and they don't. It's kind of a little bit of a joke, because you're like, yeah, now you get to move.
Yeah.
um, but they're happy. You've helped them do it. And some people who've wanted to sell this investment property or their home, and whatever, and you've helped them do that too. So the reward of seeing them that happy, that's my favorite part. Now there's the stuff we all dread, the time vampires and things like that, where they burn up a lot of your time, and the look you lose. And just realize that good time, that goal will be accomplished if you'll be patient, and just like the stock market deal, it will happen. Your goals will happen, but you can't let little setbacks and little challenges bring you down to where you pout about it. So you got to take the good with the bad. And of course, who likes broker fees? That's I guess that's broker fees, agent fees, being a part of the MLS, this and that. Those are never fun. But overall, there's going to be good and bad in any career, and it's just if it's the 80-20 and 80% is positive, and you're really enjoying what you're doing, there's going to be 20% that just makes you shake your head. Whether it's paperwork or fees, or but what job doesn't have that, guys? Keep your head up.
That's really good. That's good. And you should maybe double down on that. The investor's best friend. Is that the slogan with Brown Dog?
Yeah, I was trying to come up with a really cool name for our brokerage, and everything was either too close to something else or was already taken. So I was out, and I've told you the story before. I was out back pouting, and just tell my wife, I don't know, I can't think of a good name. And to use my own name, it kind of felt a little arrogant. So, and besides, who cares who Clay Speer is? No one wants to know, well, it's Clay Speer Realty. So what? Um, so while my wife's watering her flowers, our chocolate lab's spazzing out. And I was like, really, my dog's got life figured out. She sends us to work, and she chills on the couch. We buy her food. She pays no bills. And, she really runs the house. And so I thought, well, why not Brown Dog Realty? And I asked my wife, and I said, is that a stupid name? And she goes, no, it's actually kind of cute. And I said, well, forget it. I'm a dog person, love dogs. And if people don't like dogs, find another agent. Not that I'm anti-cat, but I just, I like dogs. They're awesome. So I named it Brown Dog Realty after Bailey, and she's our family dog, and she didn't get a great vet report recently, but she's old, so it is what it is.
Oh, sorry to hear that. That's definitely a great name and a great way to honor her by naming the company after. What do you think your support systems look like when you first got into it, Clay, and kind of what are they now? And maybe kind of talk a little bit about that.
Uh, that was kind of funny. You say support systems when I first got into it. It was sink or swim for me. I'd go into my broker and ask him a question. He would he would do this broker face. He'd sit back in his chair and he'd nod and he'd listen real good and he goes, "So what's your solution for that?" And it was great. Again, I'm not big into need my hand held and stuff like that, but I would go through some different solutions, and he was like, "You've got this. Go, you go take care of it." And if it was something I was completely clueless on, he'd give me the answer. But most of the time, I think he was training me that if you're going to make it in this business, you need to be resourceful and you need to be scrappy. And I'm thankful, and he and I still have a good relationship. Uh, so as far as support, did I have a lot of training for this and training for that? No, I mean it was definitely figured out. Um, but same thing with coaching. I mean, there's no here's how you coach's handbook. There's people that were influential in your life that you looked up to, and there's some people you're like, I don't want to be like that person. And so, the first year I coached, I was absolutely clueless, and then thank God I had good athletes that made me look smarter than what I really was. But um, the support when I first started, just really not so much. Didn't hardly know how to use anything technology, MLS services. I mean, it was just definitely sink or swim. What's nice about Broker League is there's so many things on here for everyone that anybody thinking about becoming a broker. If you're not a part of Broker League, I don't know what to tell you, because there's a lot of agents who were in my same boat. Need this training, need that training, and Cody's done an amazing job getting everything organized like he's had. So I mean, there's a ton here for Brokers League. So what one challenge for me was when I first opened a brokerage was, well, how do I recruit agents? How do I tell them we've got this training or that training, or we've got all these resources or transaction coordinators, or what do you need? And those are all in place with Broker League, and that's what I think's great about what you've done here, Cody, and anybody who's listening. You open your own brokerage. If you're not part of Broker League, I kind of just shake my head. Franchise route for me doesn't work for me. It may work for some other people. I don't see why you're coughing up 20,000 here, 30,000 there, just to put some name over the door that people may or may not recognize. Because I mean, look at the way houses are selling right now. Do you think they really care whose name's on the sign? No, they want the house. It's going to sell that quick at asking or over right now, and that won't last forever. We'll have to figure out how to navigate those waters when that time comes. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago. Do your clients have a relationship with you, and do they want to do business with you again?
Yeah, I think you touched on before that leaders are readers, and just your business acumen, your background. You're just a smart dude, and you just had all this wealth of coaching knowledge and experience that kind of sets you up for that leadership role. It sounds like of stepping into that broker that role. What are your think are some of the biggest misconceptions out there, Clay, that people may have, or maybe you had, or coming into the business that you want to dispel for everybody so they get a realistic expectation for what it's like?
I think the biggest misconception is the whole field of dreams thing. If you build it, they will come. Yes, once it's established and you've got those good relationships in place, you'll get referrals and word of mouth. From past clients saying, call up Cody Coda. He treated me great. His business is very professional, and in a sense, you'll hit that finish line. But if you think, hey, I pass a test to become a real estate agent, I'm a provisional sales associate, and sure, there'll be some people that may throw you a bone that know you in your inner circle, family or friends, but for the most part, you're gonna have to go out and make your bones. Same thing once you become a broker. I mean, do you really? I mean, yeah, it's really cute to go drive down the street and see a brown chocolate lab on a real estate sign, like, oh, cute, look at that, Brown Dog Realty. Um, we get a lot of traffic on our site just because I think it is a unique name. But does that just mean that I'm going to be closing 6 deals a week because I got a cute dog on a sign, and people are like, oh, well, Clay's such a nice guy. No, you're going to have to go out and earn it. And so you're going to have to hustle. And, I would say the biggest misconception is that, you know, people think they're just going to come to you, and it don't work that way. Number one rule in this business is answer your phone. It may not always be convenient, but, you know, um,
Yeah, you'll set yourself apart from so many people just from doing
mhm.
that simple act. I totally agree. What do you think are your must tools or pieces of technology or something that you would close your doors tomorrow if you didn't have for your business?
uh, you know, not to be too blunt and cheesy, but you need your cell phone. And, I used to be the guy before I got into this line of work that had your typical old coach's phone where the kids would laugh at me and be like, Coach, does that thing even work, or is it a paperweight? I used to have the oldest cell phone you ever seen. I didn't care. I was like, I'll text a little bit, but I don't need that fancy mumbo jumbo. And it's like, no.
Phone's a
Uh,
phone back then for you, huh?
yeah, not so much anymore. I mean, your phone is huge. It's, the answer the phone thing, the communication, the texting, and a lot of people now, they don't even want to talk to you on the phone. They just want to text you. And so, and that's another feature with Brokers League that, it's got the smart texting and things like that that can help you out. So if you are having dinner or whatever, at least you can get those couple initial, how you doing's going with that. But then, like these phones now, the cameras on them are so good. So, when you're first starting out and you're trying to save some money here and there, if you're closing 100 deals a year and you don't have time to go take photos of this or that, a good phone that has a good camera on it will help you out a ton. Just the email capabilities. I mean, phones today are a mobile office, and now, laptops are getting to the point where they've got so much power that, you used to have your big desktop and you need your desk. I mean, the mobility that we have now with, whatever device you like, a tablet, laptop, a phone, that mobility, I think, really helps in this business. I really do. And, before, and think about how fast houses are selling now. Some of them, my record this year is 2.5 hours and selling a house. I mean, I put it on the market and done. And I was like, all right, well, enough of that. But even if you're an agent taking clients around, I'd have your laptop on you. That way you can easily log on the MLS and say, all right, let's shoot an offer in right now. Fill out the form. It's not that difficult. What do you want to offer? Well, we want to offer asking. Okay, bam. Type it up, send it in. You don't have to say, well, I'll go back to the office and I'll send it to you and be like, okay, there, it's sent. Hit it through Authentisign, sign your signatures, bing, bam, done. You can fill it out right there in the living room.
Yeah, especially I was going to say in the market that we're in terms of speed, to offer with homes going so quick. If you're having to go back to the office to write up the offer, I mean that could another agent's already gotten their offer in.
Mm-hmm.
So that mobility and that ease of technology for speed, I think I agree with everything you're saying there. So speaking of the market, Clay, what's Clay Spear's market prediction? Everybody's talking about how crazy this market that we're in. Help us make sense of it, Clay. What's going on and what's your prediction of what's going to come?
The there's, I mean, if any of us had a real crystal ball, we wouldn't be practicing real estate. We'd be going around doing what you and I are doing right now with an auditorium, and people be taking notes and giving us standing ovations. But I lost a very dear friend about a year ago, and he was a big time finance guy, and he was just talking about the interest rates and how he didn't think they were going above 6%. He was like, not in our lifetime, boys, or I'll fly y'all out to Vegas on my nickel. Well, I don't know that necessarily will hold true, but as long as the interest rates are low like this, there's people who are able to qualify for a home that in the past, weren't able to qualify for a home. And I think that's been a really big factor. And just to be very blunt, money's cheap right now. When you can finance a house at 2.7, I've heard of, some even down as low as 2.3, with, people's credit. And even if your credit's not that great, you can still get a home financed under 5%. And so that is a big factor. I mean, you know, I still remember as a kid hearing my parents talk about 8.8%. Oh, that's a great rate. Doesn't get any better than that. And I thought, well, isn't zero better than 8.8? And just thought, yeah, whatever. Um, but the interest rates, as long as they're low, I think things will move fairly quickly. You know, COVID obviously slowed things down. The hailstorm that just hit Norman is just, if you want to know about crazy, come to West Norman and try to sell a house right now, because, and even East Norman, to a certain extent has quite a bit of hail damage too. But, when racquetball size hail comes in over 70 miles an hour with 1 and 3 inch spikes on it, there's Norman Board of Realtor chat rooms, hey, I need a siding guy. I need a garage door guy. I mean, you can't drive down a street around here without a roof being replaced. Windows are busted out. Cars are damaged. So that might put a little hiccup in things and slow some things down right now. But for the most part, as long as the interest rates stay low, I think things will still move fairly quickly. This ripple effect from people moving around will still happen. But, it's great. It's better than the alternative. When things are slow, that's when it's a great time to invest and you can get a deal. But I mean, right now, we've talked about how my son Carson bought his first house under my property management umbrella. And at 14, he bought his second one at 15, got his license at 18. But we can't do that with my daughter. I mean, why are you buying an investment property I mean, when you invest, you buy low and sell high. That's generally what you want to do. Right now, you're not getting a deal on a house. I don't see one unless it just needs a lot of love and a lot of rehab. But for the most part right now, that's not a way to help your kids pay for college and cars and things. So that's a challenge. And you just it's just like in your coaching football, one team plays one way, one team plays another, and you just figure out what skills and advantages you bring to try to help you win. And so that's the challenge right now.
No, that's really good. What piece of wisdom would you want to impart to maybe a new broker coming into this space, and maybe somebody that's already in the space, but they're just looking to get some wins? Like, what advice would Clay give them?
I remember I went at a certain point in my coaching career, and I went almost 3 years without getting scored on. And that first time I got scored on, it's easy to win when you don't give up any points. And I was so upset and so mad. But I had to reflect back on something Bob Stoops said. He said, don't let your wins and losses define you. Look at your body of work. And, another great coach, John Wooden, talked about the difference between reputation and character. Reputation is what people think of you that don't know you. Your character is what the people who truly know you and truly know who you're about, that's what you need to focus on, is your character. So I would tell people, don't worry about your reputation. I would tell people, don't worry about what your win-loss record is. Worry about your character. The people who know you know that you are an ethical, honest, and straightforward person. You do things right, and that you have your client's best interest at heart, and you're not just a commission-grabbing agent. That some of the people in our industry, I'm not going to point fingers, but there's people saying, I don't want to deal with realtors. And well, there's probably been some people in the past that have made it a bigger challenge for us than what it needs to be, but it is what it is. There's no point whining about it. You just control your character. And I would tell everyone, just focus on your body of work, and believe in your past track record of success. And, if you're just starting, and you have a model in mind, with what we're doing with the gallery, with these virtual shows, I had one of the artists explain it as, I think what you're doing with this new show format is going to be a lot like a locomotive. And if you ever see one go from a dead stop, those wheels don't move real fast. They're moving real slow, and it's like, oh my God, we ever going to get there? But once that locomotive's at full speed, not a whole lot can get in your way. And so I would just say, focus on when your locomotive is at full steam and you're barreling down the tracks, that's who you are and that's who you're going to be. And I just stay focused on that. And don't get your head down if that beginning, if those wheels are turning a little slow, don't get down on yourself. Believe in yourself and believe in the end result.
Wow, man. It's just the wisdom you've got, man, just being a coach. I mean, you always just give such great advice. That's awesome. So if you weren't selling real estate, like, what would you be doing, man?
I, you know, I'm enjoying this a lot. I even when I go on vacation, we were out at our campground out there at Cloudcroft. Every day I was driving around, and yeah, it's beautiful. There's mountains, there's incredible scenery to see, wildlife. But every day I'm driving around scheming on, ooh, how can I make money off that? No, oh, look at that land, or how could that be developed? Or VRBO would look great here, or should I expand my campground to the north part of the state, or should I try to control the valley, or do I want to be in a different state? And then even after that, one of my top thoughts are, um, hey, how do I get a real estate office in here? And my wife's a CPA, and she's talked about setting up CPA services at our campgrounds as well. And so it's just it's something that we really enjoy, and I've dealt with sales too. And art is, you talk about the stock market, art is a roller coaster. I mean, you're up, you're down. One month you're shopping for boats because you're like, oh, that's a cool boat, I want to get that. And then next month you're like, ooh, ramen noodles. So I'm a big believer in multiple sources of income. That's very big for me and very big in what I believe in. And that's why the passive income from real estate investments, the being an active broker, closing deals is big, and selling art. It's just I'm kind of like the old saying goes, always be closing. I don't know if I'm closing a real estate deal or an art deal, but I'm always closing. So it's like, you know my kids say, Dad, how do we make money in life? And I said, oh, it's real simple. Make money while you're making money. You've always heard make money while you sleep, but if you have your investment properties and you're making money passively that way, and then you're working on making money while you're making money, it's hard to go broke if you're making money while you're making money. So that's kind of the end goal, is what I would tell people, is figure out how you can make money while you're making money.
Good. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about maybe you want to kind of dive into some of your projects now. Talk maybe a little bit about your campgrounds, if anybody's out in that area, or kind of how you kind of stumbled into that whole space. Because a lot of agents don't really, I know I wasn't real familiar with it, and you kind of educated me a lot on that entire arena.
Well, what I did was, I was being an OU fan. I was sitting around watching Jalen Hurts fumble and throw interceptions, and I was sitting around on a Saturday, and I had all this stuff to do, and I thought, am I really enjoying myself watching OU turn the ball over? And I thought, no, I'm really not having a good time. This is really not fun. And so, I thought, well, what else are you watching on TV? And I thought, really, this TV thing's wasting a lot of my time. And so I took a whole year and didn't watch TV, didn't waste my time with it. And I worked on myself as a person, and I worked on my business. And what was great was, I wasn't worried about who was going to get picked on The Bachelor, or watching that with the wife and the friends, or, oh, I hope this person makes it through the challenge on Survivor, or any of this other, these time vampires through these programs that just eat up your time. And it was amazing how much more clear of thought I had about the goals I was trying to accomplish. And so after dinner, the family would go in and watch TV, and I'd just get back to work on the computer and start studying things. And what led me to the RV camping industry was I was looking at the cash flow of the single family home investment properties I had, and I was looking at them thinking, okay, if how do I get to retirement? How do I get to where I'm making six figures a year off this passive income so I don't have to work anymore? And I was looking at it going, there's always the AC's going out, the roof's got to get fixed. And I kept thinking through all that. And, we can do a whole nother show on, single family homes, and what the process and the transition is from a Robert Kawasaki beginning, and learning that to actual real practice of it. And I was like, how do I maximize this, and how do I get it to where I can be mobile and free to travel and chase my kids around who are both athletes? And how do I do that? And then the more I studied it, the more I was understanding that the advantages for whether you're into just storing people's toys, their RVs and boats, or whether you want to provide a campground atmosphere, it's like 5 to 1. COVID did nothing but make that industry even bigger than what it was before. And COVID taught us all, and I'm, being Captain Obvious here, we can do our jobs, not having to go to the office. You can work from home, you can work from the beach, you can work from the mountains, you can work anywhere. And so I started noticing too the age of people in an RV. It wasn't just a bunch of 60 and 7-year-old, grandparents who were like, "Hey, we're going to see the country." I mean, you're looking at 30-year-old RV owners who have their small children with them. And that's what really started waking me up to go, okay, there's, I don't know, there was 8 million RVs on the road, and I think 7.5 sold last year. So, you're up around 50, 12, $15 million, depending on what got trashed and scrapped and what's still being out there. And, all these people are mobile, and they're working mobile, and they can go really do their job wherever they want. But there's only about 5 million places for them to put it. So when you've got a 3-to-1 advantage on where people have to go, it's great. And, the numbers are in your favor. And so I sold 8 investment properties. And since then, I've sold another 1 or 2. And I've got my last one under contract to where I'll be down to 1 commercial building. And then once this happens, I'm currently seeking my second RV park, which I'd like to get near a beach. So I started looking actually by a beach, and the contact that I was working with, he actually said, "Have you heard of Cloudcroft, New Mexico?" And I said, "No." He said, "It's in southern New Mexico." And I said, "I don't want to be in the desert. Who wants to go on vacation to the desert?" He said, "No, it's in the Lincoln National Forest, and it's in the mountains, and it's beautiful." We went out there, checked it out. I fell in love, put in an offer. They accepted it. And, there we are. So I went from, a dozen real estate rental opportunities to 64. We've got 38 camping sites, tent sites, glamping sites, cabins. And so, you know, instead of making X, now I'm able to make Y, and I was able to sell that, take that residual cash that I had in the properties. And I thought, if you're going to make a transition like this, what a better time. I mean, we're all talking about these houses selling in 2.5 hours, 3 days, whatever. If you can sell off portfolio A to get into portfolio B. And I didn't start looking at campgrounds. Honestly, a former player of mine who's got his own England Brokers franchise down in 30A. He's absolutely making NFL money as an agent down there. His name is Bo Blankenship. Very proud of him. Doing an amazing job down there. And he works really hard. He's very competitive in a very competitive market. He's had a lot of success, and I couldn't be more proud of him. But I was looking at those, and those houses, they do the drone shot, which we all do in our listings. And I'm looking at all these roofs, and I'm thinking, same thing back when I thought of my real estate name. I was going, why with what I can afford? Because I can't afford the $15 million house right on the water. With what I can afford, why do people want to work hard all year to spend their 1 week or 2 weeks of vacation in my place? Why? What makes me special? And then I thought, that just only gives me one opportunity to try to make it. And I thought, well, I've had success with my VRBO, but maybe I need to look in a different direction, which the more I did my research, the more I, got into the campground industry and people working mobile, here and there and doing whatever. So that's what led us to the campground industry, and made some great friends in the KOA franchises, and we haven't franchised ours one way or the other yet. There's 2 rules if you are thinking of getting into that industry. One is don't build out, build up. Meaning increase your amenities and make each site nicer of what you already have before you expand out. Because a lot of these parks will say, parks on 8 acres with the ability to expand to the next 10. Don't develop the next 10. Fix up those 8, and then worry about that other 10. And don't make any major changes in the first year. So that's why we closed in March, and here we are in June. I looked like I was really well organized because over Memorial Day, a band was already scheduled, not by me, but by the previous owner. So, it was really cool walking around Memorial Day in a park you own in a beautiful place, and you're seeing families hang out together. No one's on a tablet. I know we said you have to have that for your business now, but dads are out grilling steaks and playing badminton with their kids, and people are playing cornhole, and you're like, there's 1,000 different ways to make a buck out there. But when you can provide an opportunity for families, and this isn't cheesy talk, I mean, it really does warm your heart to walk through your park and just tell people, I know you have choices. You can go wherever you want, but thank you for staying here. We appreciate your business. And just seeing families spend time together, it's a great way to make a living, off some passive income. We've got, in my opinion, the best four in the business running the park for us. I call them the Fab Four. Um, they make sure everyone has a wonderful time. They were taking kids treats on Easter. Some guy was in trouble with his fiance, and they did the whole rose petal thing in the cabin to make sure that they had the best arrival that they possibly could do. I mean, they take absolute pride and joy in the grind of making sure that park works, and they make sure everyone has an amazing experience. And so you're in the hospitality business, you need to make sure people really want to come back. And I'll be honest, I came back here to get ready for the show, and I really wish I was still out there.
Hey, man, I love the fact that you're able to incorporate that work-life balance thing from a standpoint of you guys go on vacations, you like going to the parks, and you found a way to make a passive living at it. So my hat's off to you for taking, the steps necessary and leveling up as an investor and going into something that you weren't necessarily comfortable with, but you knew and you liked it. And it sounds like you're going to have a lot of success with you. The way you described it, sounds magical. Where can somebody go if they want to go visit this park? You say it's in New Mexico. Let's maybe tell us kind of where it's located or how they can find it.
It's called the Camp at Cloudcroft, and there's a website for that. And then, there's all sorts of booking sites where the funniest thing was one of the first nights I was there, we've all seen the Austin Powers movies with Mike Myers and the whole wall tent gags and jokes. And I'm walking through the park and it's dark and I'm looking at the stars because it's so pretty. And I look at the wall tent that someone had rented and I was like, I get the joke now. Make sure y'all turn the light off before you don't want people to see what's going on, because it is the whole silhouette thing. It's a joke. But Cloudcroft, New Mexico, if you're leaving from Oklahoma to go out there, there's really two ways to head out. You can go through Roswell and do the alien thing and laugh at the McDonald's where there's aliens in space suits and all that kind of, hokey stuff. Or you can actually go in through Ruidoso and come in through the 244. And that is like driving through a Cabela's commercial. There's wild Mustangs, turkeys, deer, elk. It's just unbelievably beautiful. You're not going to get great cell reception in a lot of places. But it's really the Cloudcroft area is like the center of a wagon wheel with all kinds of attractions. So it's a great base camp, because if you want to go into Ruidoso to go to the Ruidoso Downs, the end of the Mountain of the Gods, there's incredible golfing both in Cloudcroft and Ruidoso. You can go down into Alamogordo and hit the White Sands, which is just unbelievable to go visit. Anyone who has a Native American card, you get in that park for free. The Carlsbad Caverns is south of there. It's not far away. That's really a fun thing to go do. Then, of course, there's the Roswell deal if you want to go have fun with that. Tons of ATV, hiking, biking, fishing, swimming, hunting, really whatever you're into. There's Ski Apache, Ski Cloudcroft just right there by you. And anyone who is a golfer and wants to work on their driving for distance, we're down here in Oklahoma at about 1,100 and change on feet above sea level. They're at 9,000. So if you want to feel like Barry Bonds and really knock one out of the park when you're hitting your driver, it's a great confidence boost. I had to learn to adjust not to be wanted for vandalism in the Cloudcroft area for knocking golf balls off the park and probably tattooing someone's car. So, and I'm not any good. I'm not a very good golfer, but there's so much to do out there, and it's so beautiful that you can just log on our website, and whether you want a tent camp or you want an RV park or stay in a cabin, silver lining on a challenge my wife and I had out there. Our owner's cabin hot tub was having an issue because we accidentally put it in sleep mode. So we went over to the mountain cabin that sleeps 9, 2 bedrooms, huge place, but it's got its own personal hot tub too that's under the stars. And that was the most amazing thing to sit in there. We got totally pruned from just sitting in there way too long staring at stars, just gorgeous, just it's so pretty out there. It's like it's fake, you know.
I'm definitely coming. So you've already told me you're going to hook me up with the
Oh yeah, yeah.
there. So looking forward to.
I'll I'll get you trapped up there, and I'll make a vegan out of you yet.
Well, there you go. Well, Clay, thank you for coming on, man. You're just a super smart, super intelligent, creative dude. You're a broker, coach, investor, art connoisseur. How can folks connect with you if they wanted to get hooked up with the art gallery or any of the many great projects you got going on?
Feel free to just. I'm an old fashioned guy. You can call me on my cell phone. It's 405-830-2057. You can get a hold of me through our website, the Grapevine Gallery. I like people. I like talking to people. I know that's not the popular thing to do anymore, but, hit the website. They can email me, clay.grapevine@gmail.com. I've got an Brown Dog Realty Group email as well. So you shoot me an email, text, call, whatever. I'm happy to help people out. I've talked about some different coaching programs. Um, it's like anything. Tiger Woods didn't come out and win the Masters when he first started. He needed some coaching, he needed help from his dad and some swing coaches. So, I've bumped my nose and I've had my fair share of challenges, to accomplish what I have, and I still haven't reached where I want to be. And so, anybody that's thinking about, what they want to start an art collection or work on investing in real estate or, work on a business, I know Cody, not to place, spoiler here, he and I've talked a lot and at length about some different coaching programs that we're wanting to announce and launch. So I guess this can be a little bit of a tease that those are coming, but I won't get into details about that. But, life's short. We get one shot at this thing, and I just don't believe in having regret. So, you're going to make mistakes. Some things are going to work, some aren't. But to quote my man Matthew McConaughey and Denzel, fail forward. You're going to have your challenges. You're going to have things that don't work, but like wins and losses, like Bob says, don't let them define you. You'll make mistakes. You'll have things that won't work. You'll have things that will work. So just go for it, and if it works, you're gonna look like a genius. If not, try something else. So.
There you go. Well, Clay, thank you for sharing your wisdom, and I appreciate it. I know the viewers will. We'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Cody. Have a great rest of your day, bud.